So Brienne started a new job recently and she works 4-10s, which means that I'm responsible for cooking 4 nights out of the week, which is no problem. We don't really believe in the traditional gender roles around here, but if you know me, you know that I spent probably 5 to 7 years just eating eggs for dinner. I used to do just dippy or over easy eggs with some hot sauce and then a side of popcorn and salsa, probably for most of my 20s. So I never really tried to cook too much, and I didn't come from a family that really valued cooking like gourmet meals. No offense, Mom, I love you, but I've witnessed my mom burn pizza and other things that probably shouldn't burn. You know, it's not something that was ever really ingrained in me as a skill set, but it is a very cold February day. The lack of sunlight and the COVID quarantine and just the state of the world are kind of getting to me a little bit. I also woke up at 6:30 this morning to shovel our lane, which isn't how I really want to start a Monday. So truth be told, I'm just feeling a little bit lousy overall today. So I think the meal that we're having tonight is going to be a nice little winter comfort pick-me-up. So good timing for a shit day. We have a nice meal. Tonight we're gonna be making chili. I took this recipe from a site online. I'll link that in the description below. And I'm actually gonna cut the recipe in half. So anything that you're seeing in that description, if you're interested, I'm cutting that in half and just kind of taking a few liberties just to kind of meet what our taste is. This takes about an hour and 40 minutes to cook, so I'm gonna do some prep now to mix all of the spices together. I just find that that's easier to kind of keep things going as I'm actually cooking. I've gotten behind a few different times trying to do multiple things at once, and for my ADHD brain, that doesn't really work very well. So I kind of have to work against my brain to keep organized here. The ingredients that you're gonna need are ground beef, a variety of spices, so salt, cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, an onion, cayenne. You're gonna need some pinto beans and kidney beans, and then we like to use cheddar cheese and lime tortilla chips at the end. Also, a little bit of Maker's Mark whiskey, not for the chili, for the cook. All right, so like I said, about an hour and 40 minutes of cook time. Gonna mix these together, chop up the onion. I like to chop that up and cook it with the chili. I think it gives it a little bit more flavor. And then Brienne doesn't really like hard onions that much, so it helps them be a little bit softer as well. I think that's it. Let's get cooking. You want an onion? Up. Want to smell it? Ooh. Ooh. That's gross. Please can I have the onion? Okay. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons, so we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Probably take a little bit of liberties with that. Cumin, it's 1 teaspoon. We're gonna do half a teaspoon. Garlic powder isn't even in this recipe. Salt, 1 teaspoon. We're gonna do about half. Cayenne, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons. We need oregano. 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 1 teaspoon of this, so we're gonna do about half. And that's it. So you can see we've got a nice spice mixture here. Do not put garlic powder in this. What is that chunk of orange? Oh, it's cayenne. So I actually lied to you. You don't need garlic powder. Don't put garlic powder in there. You also need tomato sauce and minced garlic. Yeah, that's it. The cumin gives it more of like a smoky flavor, I think. So I'm trying to make it smokier. So if anybody has any recommendations for modifications that they want to see here, please let me know. I'd like to have some different spin-offs of this to be able to get more creative and have more variety. So let me know if there are any changes that you would recommend making, or if you see me doing anything wrong, because I am going to do wrong things, because it's what I do. Also, you know, everyone talks about how cutting onions makes them cry. Have you ever really considered how onions feel? Come on. Slap the beef down in there, but don't do what I just did, because it still has the plastic on the bottom, which, whatever this is, don't cook that. Throw a clove of garlic on here. We're just gonna brown it. I also learned that browning doesn't mean cooking the whole way. Where I grew up, people are like terrified to not cook their meat the whole way. I think because they're afraid they're gonna get food poisoning. But ever since I've learned that a little bit of pink in your meat doesn't hurt you, I've grown to appreciate food a lot more. Put some onions in. I'm actually gonna move this to the back burner because I think that this front one's gonna be too high. All right, so we'll mix in our spices. Tomato sauce, about a half a can of that. And cover it up and let it cook. So like I said, we have about an hour of cooking time. So I've got enough time to clean up the kitchen, get started watching some hockey game, have a nice glass of whiskey, and wait for Brienne to get home. Just have to check it once in a while and stir it, make sure it looks okay. Add some water if it looks a little bit dry, but we'll see how it turns out. Before I forget, and let's be honest, I was gonna forget, with about 10 minutes left, we wanna put in the pinto beans and the kidney beans. I also like to mix in a little bit of lime juice to bring out that flavor. Because I'm cooking about half the recipe, I'm doing like a 45-minute cook instead of a 60, just so we don't overcook it. And I also added a little bit more cumin and chili powder just to amplify that flavor. So again, these two bad boys with 10 minutes left, crank the heat up to about medium, and then you're good to go.
A few minutes later.
It looks really thick. Did you do something different?
No, I just threw a couple of C's on it.
Boy!
So Brienne's home. This is the finished product. So just get some cheddar cheese on there and melt it if you like. But this is the chili recipe. About 60 minutes for the full recipe and probably about 45 for the amount that we cooked, so. Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Cheers. Bye! Bye!
Oh, I know.
Bye!
Oh, I know. I know, sweetheart.
It sound right, boys.